Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, still somehow an employment attorney, thanks to the gods, whoever they may be. Um, all right. So I have a YouTube user named, I believe, Khan Isu. I don't know if that was a Star Trek reference, but I made it one. I apologize. And Connie Sue asked a question 2 weeks ago on our video posted August 28th of 2022 entitled, "Is 25% of recovery a good deal when hiring an employment attorney?" Now, let's read the question in the record and then get an answer out there. What are disparate impact and disparate treatment? Okay, I'm going to answer that question first, and then it goes on. There's some specifics here that I'll also get into. Disparate impact is when there's a discriminatory impact to a policy that perhaps was not intentional. And as I always like to talk about AI issues in the workplace, I've always used the example. There was a finance company who used like artificial intelligence to hire folks, and they were like hiring like brokers. And what the artificial intelligence learned from like sifting through the data or whatever is that hiring quarterbacks or like well-known college football players into this agency as like guys to go out and schmooze clients was really, really successful. Like they had a higher success rate on getting those guys in, getting to the job, and then those guys would get money out of people, presumably because they were famous and people had seen them on TV and liked how they played football for their alma mater or whatever, right? So the AI was like, "Ooh, got a great plan here. We're going to hire Division I college football players who didn't make it to the pros," and that worked for them, right? They were making money with that plan. This AI worked out a scheme for them that worked surprisingly well. The disparate impact of that, though, is that there are, I think, no women playing Division I college football, and as a result, their AI was guiding them to only hire men. That wasn't the decision they made, right? They didn't say, "Oh, only hire men," at least not intentionally. But because there were no high-profile Division I college football players who were women, they weren't hiring any women because this AI was like, "Turns out hiring these football players works great for us, so we're going to do that." So the disparate impact of their decision was that no woman would be hired, right? Disparate impact, unintentional perhaps. Disparate treatment is a little bit different. It's like, oh, they come. I'll give you another example. This is a good one. This is very common, right? Woman goes in and asks for her maternity leave. Sure, of course, yes. Very common, right? People are used to that. Same company, same manager. Man goes in and asks for paternity leave. Immediately, the squints. Paternity leave? How much you looking for here, boy? What? You think you're going to stay home with these kids? What's going on? Right? Like that is straight up disparate treatment, right? Another good example of disparate treatment. Guy goes in, hired for an entry level job, gets paid $20 an hour. Woman goes in, identical resume, gets the same job, earns $2 an hour less. Disparate treatment. This is intentional, right? So that is the difference between disparate impact and disparate treatment. I hope my examples kind of like drew a line and the subtle distinction there. Some people would contend they're the same thing with different names. I assure you that is not the case, and those people aren't mistaken. And it's not the case because the difference matters when you're educating a jury, right? You need to be able to tell a jury, okay, I understand, jurors, that you don't think they meant to do this. But that doesn't matter because this is disparate impact, and the impact, the result, is what matters, not what they intended to do it. The question here is, did they do it? Did it happen? Was there a bad impact, right? And if you can't explain that, you can't clarify the difference between the two, your jurors are going to say, oh, I don't think they meant to. And you're going to lose. Right? So these attorneys who go around and be like, the same thing, same thing. No. And you're doing yourself a disservice and your clients a disservice when you say they are. Right? This is, know the difference. Okay. Now, Connie Sue goes forward with an additional facts of the question here. Female works for a healthcare corporation. She gets assigned to a service center and she's the only woman. A male supervisor has meetings with the men. He asks how they would feel working with a woman who had been accused of child endangerment. The female filed a complaint with the supervisor. She is being harassed and is extremely uncomfortable. The supervisor makes it clear female is the new girl and the men are family. My goodness. And the male supervisor then tells the woman she just has to deal with it. The very next day, a male coworker threatens the woman, physically confronts her, saying if he were another kind of father, he would punch her in the face. Female was again in a hostile incident involving a male coworker who physically used his body to press her against a door so she could not escape as he screamed expletives at her and told her she is crazy. This is horrific. I'm sorry. I don't know if this was you, but oh my God. On a previous occasion, the same male employee made it known to her that he knew where she lived and had parked outside her home to just look around, and then went on to describe details of her residence. The woman was subsequently placed on a 1-year probation for attendance violations and soon terminated by the male manager for missing 1 day of work. The woman is a veteran, was a medic in the Army for 8 years. Okay, so right off the bat, wild. Clearly, gender discrimination issues, possible familial status discrimination issues. I don't know where you are, so, look into that. First play here, you got a stalker. You got physical assault. Call the police. Get a police report. I know it didn't just happen, but get a police report. If you can get the police to give you a police report, do so. Get it made. Then pursue an order of protection if that is available where you are, or whatever it's called where you are. And I'm saying these things both because they're going to make you slightly more safe. Orders of protection are, it's a Band-Aid. It's not like a real solution to physical danger, but it's better than nothing. And then immediately you need to be speaking with local employment attorneys. Like there are gender discrimination claims here. There's very clear disparate treatment. Claims abound in this situation. I'm sorry that this happened to a human being, and very clearly something needs to be done about it. So I hope that helps. I will watch the comments on this video. If you have follow-up questions, I'm sorry it took me 2 weeks to answer your question. I did not see the second half of your question and understand how serious the situation was, which is kind of a bullshit excuse. I wish that I had answered your question sooner. Sorry. I'm going to track the comments on this video to see if I can answer further questions. Take care.